Hi, I'm Hannah Wallace, and you're watching Finextra TV at Sibos. On the line, kindly joining us in our virtual studio, is Olivier Guillaumond, Global Head of Fintech for ING Bank, and we're talking about the industry's response to COVID. So, Olivier, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Anna. Glad to be here.
No problem at all. So, this is a theme that will be finding its way into many sessions during Sibos, I'm sure, and we've been doing a lot of interviews on the topic as well. But for the purpose of this interview, I really want to start on homing in on the impact it's had on real-time payments in particular. So do you think the pace of technological change and the push to digitalisation has advanced rapidly in this area? What would you say?
Absolutely. I think it's a great question, right? I mean, I don't need to re-quote what the Microsoft CEO has said on that, but I think it's absolutely true, and we are seeing that completely across the board, not only for ING as our own channel, but also in the company, the fintech in which we have invested. So we've seen just a very rapid adoption of digitization across the board. So that's absolutely true.
All right. And what about consumer demand for new digital services and online engagement? Do you think this is rising?
Well, it was high before, I would say, already. So definitely high on the agenda. And obviously, COVID has just putting even more accent on it, no question. And maybe just to give you an example on your first question, right? One of the companies that we have invested in and actually was originated from our labs called Payconic, which we have launched in the Benelux, right? And it's a wallet in which you can do payment and loyalty at the same time. And what we've seen since COVID is that the number of transactions has just tripled, right? So that's just a bit of a type of the magnitude of what COVID has brought into both payment but also touchless payments solutions, right? So that's very tangible.
All right, so surely this is a time for both banks and fintechs to work together to innovate and disrupt the market with new, fresh ideas. But what are maybe some of the challenges here, and what do you think is the state of play?
Look, for us, I mean, partnering with fintech was already very strategic, and it still continues to be the case, right? So that's why we have a dedicated fintech scouting team. We have 200 partnerships with fintech, so we take that very seriously. And for us, what is important is really the consumer, right? The end client, if you will, because that's what's driving the entire process. And basically, partnering with fintech is just a smart way to provide the best service to our clients when it makes sense, right? So it is not partnering just for the sake of partnering, but really to increase the value that you provide to your customer in the end. And that just remains to be the case, COVID or not. That's just, the sole purpose for us of partnering, to have this win-win-win relationship, win for our clients to start with, win for ING, and obviously win for our fintech partner.
Sure, because we were talking about the importance of collaboration long before COVID, but would you say that it's become even more crucial now in this current climate?
Well, I think it's time to market, right? I mean, time to market, it becomes even more important. Our user and clients become impatient in making sure they have the right customer journey and the right access to the service that they serve, right? So if you want to shorten the time to market, either it's very strategic and you want to do it yourself, when it becomes more commoditized or where you can find a nice co-creation opportunity, this is where, the partnership with any partner, so it could be a fintech, it could be a big tech, it could be another corporate, for instance, right? But I think what is important is it and how it is linked to your strategy and what is it that you want to own as an IP, when being ING or being, let's say, an FI. And this is definitely how we look into when to partner, when not to partner, and why partnering. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind, but always keeping in the back of your head the main goal, which is the quality of the services to your customer, obviously.
All right, so it's clear that collaboration is central to your future strategy to improve customer services to clients. So my next question, naturally, is how do you achieve this? How do you identify and nurture fintechs and roll out successful propositions globally? What's the next step?
Right. So I think it starts with the customer, right? So that's number one. So to really understand what really is the pain point, what is the opportunities, right? Otherwise, you are looking for you have a solution looking for a problem, right? So you start really to really understand and take the time to understand what is it really that the customer is wanting, right? And then you have to ask yourself the question: do you want to partner? So is it something that you want to do? So you apply, within ING, we like to apply the reuse before buy, before build right? And that is important. And then if you have identified that it's, for the reason I just described, for the customer, but also for time to market, it makes sense to partner. Then we engage, and we have a dedicated scouting team for Fintechs, who is engaging very closely with our businesses around the world to make sure that, based on clear criteria, business criteria, tech criteria, non-financial risk criteria, and so forth, what is the successful criteria of partnership, and then the team will be scouting the right fintech together with the business, and then moving into proof of concept, piloting, commercial contract, with a few things in mind, right? First of all, aiming for global partnership. And what you see that in the world, there are not that many fintechs that you can really, go global with. So the maturity is important, and we have learned our lessons. I think in the previous years, we were looking for local, and now we're moving into more mature fintechs, if you will, to make sure that we are aiming for potential global contracts. So that's when it's possible and when it makes sense. So that's something where we have involved over the years. I think the second part in terms of how to be successful is to make sure you have the right onboarding process, because onboarding a fintech is not the same as onboarding, let's say, a large vendor, if you will. So there is a risk proportionality. There is, the steps approach, which is very important. But like any partnership, it's a marriage, right? So you need to have a joint vision of why you want to partner, what's in it for both sides, and how do you find success. And that is very important to have it pre-agreed. Otherwise, you're just using your time, right? And you're using the time of your partner, which nobody wants, right? So those are the things that we have learned in the past years to what makes a partnership successful with a fintech in general.
Sure. Well, I think some really good advice to follow there as well. And I'll be keeping a close eye on developments at ING and what you're working on. But for now, Olivier, I'll let you get back to Sibos. I'm sure you're very busy this week, as am I. So thank you very much for calling in. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Hannah. Pleasure as well. Good day. Goodbye.